Good morning, students. Today we shall start the next chapter. It's called Cell, the Unit of Life. It's the second chapter. It's on page 7. So, what is a cell? Our whole body is made up of millions of cells. Not only our body, the body of the cat, the dog, the elephant, the mango, the pumpkin, everything is made up of cells. So, what is a cell? Cell is a fundamental structural and functional unit of all living beings. Every part of our body is composed of thousands, in fact, millions of these cells. All organisms they start their life from a single cell, which is known as zygote. As we have studied in the earlier chapter, the male and the female union of the male and female gametes results in the formation of a single cell, which is known as zygote. So even that is a single cell. Cells cannot be seen with the naked eye. As you know, we cannot see any individual cell with the naked eye. We can see the whole body, but we cannot see the individual cells. Hence, it was necessary to develop the microscope, and hence the microscope was developed. Now we shall study about the invention of the microscope. How was this microscope invented? So the first microscope was invented by the scientist by the name of Antony van Leeuwenhoek. Okay, now he was a Dutch scientist. Now he made a special type of microscope which is made up of a single biconvex lens. What is a biconvex lens? Something like this. Okay, two lenses which are together like this. So it's a biconvex lens. In this, the eye was applied close to the lens on one side and the object was mounted on the needle-like screw point on the other side of the lens, as you can see in the picture there. Robert Hooke, the next scientist, okay, he was an English scientist. He developed a microscope using two lenses instead of one lens. Like Leeuwenhoek, he used only one lens, but Robert Hooke he used two lenses, and hence it was known as a compound microscope because there were two lenses used in this. It was known as a compound microscope, and this is a microscope that we use even today in our laboratories. Now, what did he observe when he saw the Koch cells? Now, what are the Koch cells? The cells of the you can say the cap of a bottle, that's known as a cork. It's made of wood. In the olden days it's known as a cork cell. Okay, a cork of the bottle. Now he observed, he removed the cork cells, he removed a part of that bottle cork, and then he observed that under a microscope. And what did he see when he saw under the microscope? What he saw was numerous cells like that, compartments, and it was looking like the cells of a monastery. What is a monastery? Where the monks used to stay. So it looked like the cells of the monastery, and therefore it was given the name cell. Otherwise, till then it was not called a cell. So it was Robert Hooke who gave this name as cell to those small things. Okay, today's microscope is an improved design of the Hooke's microscope. So what we use today in our laboratory is an improved version of the Hooke's microscope. Now I put the diagrams of the three microscopes here. The first one you can see is the microscope which was first developed. Okay, the one that was developed by Leeuwenhoek. The one that was developed by Hooke. And then the second one is the compound microscope that we use today, and the third one is the electron microscope. Now the compound microscope uses light which is bent by glass lenses to magnify the image. Okay. Now magnification of a compound microscope is 2000 times. Okay. How many times? 2000 times is the magnification of the compound microscope. Now the electron microscope uses beam of electrons which are bent by the magnets. So the third one over here, it is a electron microscope and uses a beam of electrons which are bent. Now magnification of electron microscope is 200,000 times. So in this it is 2000 times, and in this it is 200,000 times. So you can imagine now the coronavirus that is now prevalent, that can be only observed by using this electron microscope, which can magnify it 200,000 times. Whereas we can use this in our laboratory to observe the algae, the fungi, and maybe Spirogyra and other such small, little bigger cells. And this can be used to see the viruses. Now, what is a cell theory? Now, many scientists they forward and they propose many things about the cells. Now, this was all compiled together, and one common theory, which was known as the cell theory, was proposed. Now, the two main scientists who proposed this theory were Schwann and Schleiden in the year of 1839. Now, there were three main points of this cell theory. I've put it down here. The first theory states that the cell is the smallest unit of structure of all living things. As you know, any living thing, okay, any living thing, the smallest unit of it is known as a cell. So what can you say? The second one follows it. The cell is a unit of function of all living things. That means that cell has got a particular function. Okay, the cells of your nose have a particular function. The cells of your legs have a particular function. The cells in your hands have a particular function. So cell is a unit of function. Did you get that? Okay. Then all cells arise from pre-existing cells, meaning that there were some cells earlier and the cells formed now are because of the pre-existing cells. So all cells they arise from the pre-existing cells. Now cells, there are numerous types of cells. You can say there are many types of cells. So I put forward certain things. Certain single cell, when they are made up of only one cell. Okay, the whole body, entire body is made up of only one cell. What are they called? Single cell. For example, bacteria, yeast, amoeba, they all made up of one cell. Some animals, they can be made of few cells, like in the case of Spirochera and Volvox. These are made of few cells, maybe 3 or 4 cells. Multi-celled means like human beings, dog, cat, mango, watermelon. All these are made of many cells. So they are known as multi-celled. Smallest cells are those of the amoeba. As you know, it's made of only one cell. And the red blood cells which are present in our blood. Okay, that is the RBC, that is the smallest cell. The longest cell is that of the nerve cell. You know, the nerve cell has to connect various parts of the body to the brain. So it is a longest cell. Okay. Now the in case of the elephant, this egg, the nerve cell can be as long as 3 meters. You can imagine how much is 1 meter, this much, and that 3 times that length will be the nerve cell of a elephant. Okay, now what is the largest cell? The ostrich egg cell is the largest cell. Okay, so one ostrich egg, okay, is the largest living cell in the world. Okay, our egg cell is also a largest living cell. Now, why are the cells so small in size? Why should they be so small in size? Well, these these are very small in size so that efficient communication can take place between the numerous cells. If cells were large, there would not be communication with the different cells. So, first reason is for efficient communication. Secondly, because the cells are small, they have large surface area upon volume ratio. So I've shown this diagram here. You can see this cube. Okay, now this is a big cube and I've broken the part of this cube. Now supposing this big cube, you remove all these cubes like this. Okay, what will happen? This surface area that is exposed, you can see here in this case, this is part is also exposed, this part is also exposed, this part is exposed, behind is exposed. So there will be, in total, there will be 6 surfaces that are exposed. While as over here, it was only this side and the top side that was being exposed. So this only this side and this side was exposed. So the other sides were not exposed, right? So in this case, all the sides are exposed. So the surface area, if you understand what is surface area, the surface area becomes more in this case. So the surface area upon volume ratio, the volume of this whole cube and the volume of all these cubes put together will be the same. But when you remove this, the surface area becomes more. Okay, so this surface area upon volume ratio becomes more when the cells are small. I hope I'm clear over here. Now, great. Why is this helpful? Because this is helpful for greater diffusion of nutrients into the cell. So it can get in more nutrients. The cell can absorb more nutrients, especially in the stomach. Okay, the cells of our stomach and all, they can absorb the nutrients, intestines and all. The metabolic waste can get thrown out. What are the metabolic waste? Can be carbon dioxide. Okay, all these, the metabolic waste can get thrown out easily from the body because the cells are small. The respiratory gases, okay, they can also diffuse easily because the cells are small. What are respiratory gases? Oxygen and carbon dioxide. Any damage can be repaired faster, okay, because the cells are small. Any damage that is occurred to the cell, it can be repaired easily. Now we come to the shapes of the cells. Now what is the shape of the cell? There can be different shapes. Okay, first let's study about circular or the biconcave. Now what do you mean by biconcave? Like this. Okay, so the human red blood cells are biconcave. That, or they can be circular. Second one is amoeboid structure. You know amoeboid structure, it has no stable structure. It constantly moves. Okay, so the our white blood cells or the WBC in our body, in our blood, it shows this amoeboid movement. Okay, it has got a amoeboid shape. Thirdly, there are long cells. Like the nerve cells, they are long. Why are they long? To transmit the impulses. Then some of them are long and contractile. What is the meaning of contractile? They can pull, they can push. Okay, so that is the muscle cells to pull or squeeze the parts. Fifthly, we have the bean-shaped cells. For example, in the leaves. Okay, we have studied about the stomata, the openings of the leaves. There are stomata. There are openings known as stomata for the exchange of gases. Now, this stomata, you learned that the stomata is guarded by the bean-shaped guard cells. So, these are bean-shaped. Okay, so we have studied circular, biconcave, amoeboid, long and contractile, and the bean-shaped cells. Okay, now here I have got the animal cell and the plant cell. Now this diagram you have to draw it from your textbook. I'll explain to you what it is. Now you can see the animal cell, it looks like this, and the plant cell, it looks like this. Now what is the difference? This is more circular and this is having a sort of rectangular shape. Then you can see this part over here for the plant cell is a big vacuole. Okay, vacuole, and here the vacuole is small. Then you have this middle portion here. This is the nucleus. This is also the nucleus. Then here you have the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. Here the mitochondria is here. Okay, so you can draw it. It's not necessary you have to draw the mitochondria here only. You can draw it here also. Okay, anywhere you can draw. The nucleus should be more or less in the center. Okay, and then you have this part. This is known as endoplasmic reticulum. It is also called as a rough ER because it is covered with ribosomes. You can see these structures on top of it. I shall explain each part in detail. Okay, then you have the lysosome, which are known as the suicide bags, okay, or the suicide cells. And then you have the Golgi apparatus, and then you have the cytoplasm. You can see this whole pinkish colored over here. This part is known as the cytoplasm, or it is the liquid part. Okay, you can call it as a liquid part of the cell. And here you can see it is green in color. I put the green color for this, okay, to make out the difference. So this is the cytoplasm in this case, and your pink color is the cytoplasm in case of the animal cell. We shall be learning each part in detail, so don't worry looking at this, but please learn to draw this into your notebook. Okay, now another thing I want to tell you over here, you can see in a plant cell there are two coverings for it. Okay, one is known as a cell membrane and the other is known as a cell wall. But you can see over here in the animal cell there is only one covering. Okay, there is only one covering over here. Okay, that is known as a cell membrane. So this has got only one cell membrane, one covering, while as the plant cell has got two coverings, that is the cell wall as well as a cell membrane. So the cell wall is additional. So why is this cell looking more rigid? Okay, more tough. Okay, that reason is because of the cell wall. It has got this additional cell wall. Now the cell wall, it allows all the substances to pass through it. Okay, it is a totally permeable membrane. Okay, while as a cell membrane which is inside, it is a semi-permeable membrane. It allows only select substances to pass through it. So in this, it has got only a cell membrane. Here it has got an additional cell wall. Now, what is a cell membrane? It is also got another name for it. It is also known as a plasma membrane. What has it got? It has got fine pores. Why is it having fine pores? So that substances can enter or leave it. What is it made up of? It is made up of lipoprotein. Okay, proteinaceous substance known as lipoprotein. It is selectively permeable. As I told you, it does not allow any substance to pass through it, only certain substances to pass through it. That is known as selective permeability. Okay, selective means only certain substances permeability to pass through. Okay, it is allowing it to pass through it. Now we come to the cell wall. Plants have an additional cell wall. I showed you plants have an additional cell wall surrounding the cell membrane. Now what is the cell wall made up of? It is made up of cellulose, which is a non-living substance. Okay, so all the green plants and all, they are made up of this cellulose. Okay, the reason why we cannot digest all these, we cannot eat the grass, we cannot eat all the plants, right? We don't eat all the plants like the cow, like the cattle. Okay, the reason because of the cellulose. Okay, the cellulose is difficult for the human body to digest. But animal, the cattle, they can easily digest the cellulose. Okay, that's the reason why they eat more of this grass. It gives shape and rigidity to the cell. As I told you, the shape of that plant cell is very intact. It's rectangular shape because of the cell wall. Fourthly, it is freely permeable. As I told you, it allows everything to pass. All substances are allowed to pass through it. Now, cotton jute and and coconut fibers are the cell walls of their dead cells. Okay, so the when the when the cells walls become dead. Okay, when the cells become dead, the cell walls are what forms the cotton, the jute, and the coconut fibers. They are formed from the cell walls of their dead cells. Now we shall study about the cytoplasm. As I showed you, in the animal cell, it was pink in color, and in the plant cell was green in color. So what was that? It was a semi-liquid substance. Okay, not totally liquid, semi-liquid substance. What is the color? It is colorless, partly transparent, and it is watery. Okay, because it is not having anything. It is just having a liquid substance. It is always in a state of movement. Okay, whenever you observe it under microscope, it is constantly under movement. The cell organelles are embedded in the cytoplasm. Okay, the parts of the cell, the smaller organs, okay, the smaller parts like the mitochondria, the ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, the nucleus, all these are the cell organelles. Okay, all these are embedded or they are kept in the cytoplasm. Okay, what is the other name for cell organelles? They are known as the little organs. Which are these little organs? The mitochondria, ribosomes, nucleus, lysosomes, the chloroplast, all these are the cell organelles. And where are they kept? They are embedded in the cytoplasm. Now there's that with that I conclude this session for today. Now there's a homework. You go to page 11 and do the progress check. I shall update you about the answers later on. Now in your notebook you will draw the diagram of the plant cell and the animal cell. You will copy it from page 12. And one question for you, what is cell theory? You will find the answer on page 9. That's all for today. Thank you.